I work with the mind, emotions and behaviour, and those three things in my opinion are all very tightly linked. I'll start by giving you my description of how I understand the human mind to work. I think the mind is made up of two components. It's made up of your conscious mind and your unconscious mind. Conscious mind can do and handle about between 4 and 7 things simultaneously. So for me now, it's talking into this camera, it's deciding what I'm going to say next, it's reflecting on what I've just said, it's my hand gestures, it's my posture, making sure I'm not fidgeting and shuffling too much, because otherwise that'll interrupt the microphone. So those are the kind of things I'm doing consciously right now. I'm also doing an awful lot of things unconsciously. Things I do unconsciously, for example, would be pumping my own heart. So I'm working my heart muscle now to pump blood around my veins. I'm generating saliva on my tongue, and I'm generating moisture on my eyeballs, and I'm growing my hair, and I'm regulating my own temperature. And I'm doing an awful lot of things unconsciously. And it's believed you can respond to and generate many, many millions of activities per second unconsciously, and about between 4 and 7 things consciously in any one moment, subject to the environment you're in, the circumstances you're in, and so on and so forth. So, how does that all impact you and me as human beings and individuals? Well, first of all, what becomes an unconscious behaviour normally starts as a conscious behaviour. So if you learn to do something, and once you become accomplished at doing it and know that it works and gives you the outcomes you desire, then you start to do that from unconsciously. A great example of that is learning to drive. When you first learn to drive a car, you start with the gear stick and the steering wheel and the mirrors and the mirror signal manoeuvre routine, and the first few times you try that, it feels completely alien. Certainly for me, really, really difficult to get the dynamics to work in sync. Now, as an accomplished driver who's been driving for years and years and years, I barely even think about the mechanics. You jump in the car, you start the engine, and you drive away. You don't consciously go through the mechanisms of starting, cameras, reversing, looking over your shoulder, and so on and so forth. It happens unconsciously. So things that you learn can quickly, easily and effectively be written to the unconscious mind, and there they are stored and utilised as little chunks of activities that you can bring forth and use consciously. Stop looking out the window. That's an unconscious reaction. So what happened there was a vehicle went by my house, and I was conscious I'm waiting for a delivery today, so in my consciousness is waiting for a delivery. So unconsciously I looked out of the window. That's an example of something called a stimulus response. So the stimulus was the vehicle, my response was to look, because I'm waiting for a parcel. Had I not been waiting for a parcel, I probably wouldn't have even noticed the vehicle passing the house. So with that said, the unconscious mind stores learned behaviours, and the conscious mind executes those behaviours. So the unconscious mind is the filing system of all the things we can do, that we can achieve, that we can accomplish, and when the conscious mind needs something, it dips it, pulls it back, and executes that behaviour. And the same is exactly true in all aspects of our performance. So if we are planning to do something, bake a cake, make a cup of tea, go for a run, go to the gym, go to work, whatever that might be, we will adopt a certain set of unconscious procedures. We will connect them together into an activity, bring them into the conscious mind, execute them, and put them all away again until we need them again. The same is true of our relationships. The same is exactly the same of our relationships with work colleagues, with family, with friends, with partners, and so on. You have a series of unconscious behaviours learned that may have been learned with that person, or may have been learned with a different person, and you bring those behaviours forward from your unconscious mind into your conscious mind and execute them at one point or another. Whether you actively execute them for yourself proactively, or whether you use them in a reactionary manner, will depend entirely upon the circumstance. So your performance is related to things in your conscious and unconscious mind. What you do is related to what you have learned. The final part of the triacalacapupia, I don't know the word, so I'll just make one up, is the emotion, is how your emotions affect you. And the way I kind of characterise this is that all of those things, or many of those things, stored in our unconscious memory, so it's kind of a play on the mind, but in our unconscious we store memories, and those memories can have an emotional charge. They can have a positive emotional charge, a negative emotional charge. I don't like to use the word positive and negative because emotions by their very definition are experiences, and you shouldn't characterise any as positive or negative, but nonetheless they have a certain emotional charge with them. So when that experience stimulates an emotional response, what's actually happening, the full breakdown of the process is there is an event or a trigger. You then call for your unconscious mechanism to respond. As your unconscious mechanism comes forward, it brings with it any emotional charge. Those emotional charges, for the technician is called the gestalt, which is how our emotions are stored together. So our understanding of love, pain, fear, anger, excitement, all the emotions get chunked together and then attached to that emotional response. So that's just an insight from me about the emotions, performance, and the mind and unconscious mind. I hope you found it informative. I found it really difficult to make this video, but somebody says make a video, stick it on the web. So I thought I'll talk about the mind.